Hello there, welcome to my channel, New Beginnings, my everyday life in rural Cyprus, and I am Dawn. So pleased to meet you if you're one of my many new viewers. Thank you for being here. And today we're going to do, rather than just lots of little different subjects and chat, we're going to chat more today just about tips on recycling, reuse, repurpose, all the words in that genre and what they really mean. I see many a YouTuber use the words in the wrong way, such as I did a very long time ago, a video on the difference between self-reliance. So some people are self-reliant, and other similar words that people do, like self-sufficient. There's a huge difference between being self-sufficient and being self-reliant. So if you're interested in that, just ask me for the URL to send you straight to that video. It's very interesting. So we're going to talk about some of those types of words today. We're not going to do the self-reliant and self-sufficient and too much about the nomadic life versus the off-grid life, because again they are very different. So we won't talk about those today, but we're going to do more about thrifting, salvaging, and all these common words in this genre. I'm going to give you many tips. I'm going to also tell you things that you can use when you're composting that you may not know or have thought of, and many tips on other things that you can recycle, reuse, repurpose, and so on and so forth. But before we do that, a lot of you really love my puzzle piece that I do on Wednesday. So I will do that to start with, and I'll go through the question later on for those joining live in the chat. And the idea is, if you've not watched one of my lives before, I set you a puzzle of some shape or form, and you have to try and solve it in the chat before I give the answer live later on in the video. Last week I almost forgot, and I was just finishing. I was like, oh, I didn't give you the answer. So remind me if you're in the chat and I don't get to the answer. I will do that between talking about these different things that we're talking about today. So the puzzle piece, if you get it right in the chat, in the live, before I give the answer away, then you get my applause. And if I beat you, i.e. no one in the chat gets the answer correct, then I get the applause. So let's see what today's puzzle piece is. So the puzzle piece today says we're talking about recycling and that kind of thing. I thought this was quite an appropriate question. And it says, in which country is chewing gum illegal to bring into the country? So on entering, you have to declare if you have chewing gum. Do you know which country that is? So in which country is chewing gum banned? And on entering the country, you must declare it legally and hand it over. So which country is that? I will refresh this question later on for those joining live. Okay, so let's get on with today's subject. Okay, so as I said, we're talking about tips and meanings of all the recycle, reuse, salvage, all those type of words. So let's begin straight away. I've actually written them all down, so I got them in the right order, and these are grammatically the correct uses of the words, so please try and use the right words. Reuse. Reuse means the same item is used elsewhere in a similar fashion or in an unchanged state. So, for example, you could have a child's bucket that they play bucket and spade at the beach. That could be reused, but to water plants. So it's still being used as a bucket, but in a different way, but we haven't changed that it is still a bucket. So that is reuse. It's just using something in a similar way or without changing that item in any way. Repurpose. Repurpose means an item used in a completely different way for a use it was not intended to have. So, for example, I use casserole dishes, you know, the big casserole dishes. I use them in my garden as bases for flower pots. Or I use plastic bottles as cloches to grow in the garden in winter. So an item used in a completely different way, in a way it was not intended to be used, is what repurpose is, another purpose. Okay, recycle. And in a minute later on in this video, I'm going to tell you all about the rules regarding plastic in the EU. In Cyprus, it's been banned for many years now. So if you want to know what we use instead, I will talk about that. And did you know there are many different types of states of plastic? So plastic isn't one thing, there's different forms and types of plastic. So I'll talk about that later on in the video. But recycle, excuse me, recycle means when something is transformed to no longer resemble the item it was or remade back into that item. So if you're recycling plastic bottles, they may be used back to make new plastic bottles, or they may be used for other plastic items. So they just basically melt the plastic and make other things out of it. It could also be things like your paper, your scrap paper, you shred to make it into compost. So, or mulch, you can make mulch. So recycle is something transformed to no longer resemble the item it was, or be remade back into something else of that ilk. Salvaging, the correct use of the word salvaging. This often means dumpster diving, or when you find dumped items maybe on the side of the road or anywhere in your environment where it's been discarded, and making use of them either in their original use or in some other frugal way. Now, you know, I do dumpster diving a lot. Sometimes I find things like flower pots, which I find literally every single time, whole load of those. So I'm reusing those in the same way. But sometimes we find things there that we can reuse in other ways, such as we've had before. You know, I call them kiddie swimming pools. Those ones you put up with little poles round, they're normally circular. Those swimming pools, they call them swimming pools. I don't think you can swim much in them, but those, and we've used those poles to make other things. We found some of those poles. So salvaging, dumpster diving, or finding dumped items and using them as they were used before, or making them into something else. The correct term of frugal. Now, I see a lot of people for clickbait use the word frugal when they're using it in the wrong way. So I'll read you the correct termage of using the word frugal, and then you'll be like, yeah, that channel's not that. It actually means doing something without cost, no cost, no cost. Some people just think it means saving money. It's no cost. Frugal means doing something without cost rather than spendthrift or cost cutting, which would refer to things such as buying clothes for half price in a sale. That isn't actually frugal. Frugal is being mind smart, is the definition, and only having what you need, often by creating something from what you would find or already have. Frugal should not be confused with the term living on a budget. And that is where people use it wrong. It's not just cost effective, it's not spending money. So a lot of channels out there haven't got the correct full definition. Thrifting. And the correct definition of that says this is usually concerning buying at charity shops for what you need and adapting them where necessary, or to sell them on for a profit. So there's lots of channels out there do thrifting, either clothes and they jazz them up or make them into something else. Or there's a lot of channels also do thrifting, which can be secondhand shops, charity shops, and they go and buy things, they do them up and then sell them on again for a profit. And it says this is more related to the term living on a budget or spendthrift. So that is using money. Then we have the term reloved. This is passing something on to someone that could make use of an item that you no longer want or use. This can be used when decluttering. Reloved items can also be donated items to charity or to sell on for a profit. Any items handed down or passed on. So it used to be in my era, second hand was the term, but people don't like that now. So just change that term to the word reloved. Composting. This, the reason is included, is also a form of recycling, such as shredding paper and other items into making compost for the garden. Foodstuffs and many household items can be in this category and comes under the terms of frugal and no waste living. And I'll go through in a minute some of the items that you can compost that you may not know. And then the last one I'm going to cover today, giving you the true definition. It says off-grid. Again, I see people with utility bills saying they're off-grid. Off-grid officially is said to be living with no utilities such as electricity or mains water. For power, an off-gridder would use solar panels, and for water, usually a well or borehole. But of course, you could have a water source nearby, such as a river, something like that. You're a bit more nomadic. It's a good way to have a minimal bill, particularly if living a nomadic life. So a nomadic person is frugal, they don't use money, and also they would be living off-grid in some form. So that's the true definitions of the words that I see being used a lot. So that's the official definitions of that. And let's do now, I'll go through my file that I share a lot with you so I don't forget any of the items of things that you can compost. Hot rotters. Now these are your fast activators. Leaves off of comfrey plants, common yarrow, fresh weeds, lawn clippings, chicken droppings, and pigeon droppings. And those of you concerned about the last two, remember they will be fully broken down before you use them on your growing areas. Then these are the all-round balanced items. Is obviously scraps from the kitchen, used tea bags. Most countries now have recyclable ones, but do check your country. Used coffee grounds. Now I tend to actually use mine sprinkled over things such as brassicas because that keeps the bugs off, but you can put that in your compost. Annual flower plants, any plant clippings, used hay and straw, but I would rather keep that and put that straight over the top of any raised beds or hugelkultur. Refuse from vegetables and their plants. Manure with straw, young shrub clippings, used hops. Some people don't know that. That's one of the really best things if you can get hold of used hops. Bird feathers, clover. I don't hear many people say that. Washed kelp or seaweed. That's another great one. Hello to Two Doves, Bees and Gardens. Did you get my message? I emailed John's email. I hope you got my message. Fish meal, husk and shells from nuts. Some people don't think of that. Eggshells, of course. Again, they're better to put around growing plants, growing vegetables, because that keeps slugs away. Any uncooked seafood, including the shells, they will break down. Nail and hair clippings. Get down to your hairdressers, but make sure it hasn't got dye on the hair. Softer garden trimmings. Any weeds. Herbal activators are comfrey, dandelion, and yarrow. And a lot of people think they've got to have room for several compost bins to have one going, one happening, and one ready. But I always say, particularly if you've got a small garden, make your hugelkultur bed, your compost bed. You can grow in it straight away. You can start growing in it. So you don't need a big garden with room for a compost bin or compost heap. Build up your compost, obviously, in layers if you can. Put it in as small as possible. So if you need to trim or cut things first, if you don't have a shredder, I would love a shredder. We're off grid. We've looked at the power of a shredder. We can't have one. And I don't want one that runs on, I guess it's diesel or petrol. I don't want that because I can't deal with that and maintain it and everything. But a shredder, that's my wish list. Electric shredder, but not off grid. Ah, okay. Oh, that's good to know, John. But I was worried about the thumbs up as well, because I keep hitting the thumbs up on your channel and nothing occurs. So what I should do is, I was going to say hit the thumbs up and then tell you what number thumbs up it would be, but then that won't that won't count if someone comes in straight after. But good to know. Right, because the video, it was the first part of the bee one, I put the comment in 3 or 4 times and it was just disappearing. Right, good to know. You can also use cardboard and egg cartons, paper towels, so kitchen towels and toilet rolls. Now, my tip with using toilet rolls and kitchen towel rolls is don't cut them or shred them. Put them in as the tube and any other cardboard tubes you've got. Put them in as the tube. And then when more compost goes on top of it, you've now got nice air pockets through the tubes, which breaks your compost down quicker. What else? Yes, if you've got a really good heap of lots of different stuff, you don't need to turn it or water it. I never turn mine. Very rarely do I turn mine. And quite often, I don't put small things in. I put really big bits in. They will break down eventually, and some things help break down other things as well. So there's that. Things from the home you can put in your compost. Plain cotton cloth, but make sure it's not got dyes or prints on. Cheesecloth is a really good one. Your cardboard, make sure it's got no wax or ink or glue or anything like that on, or parcel tape. Use paper towels, paper bags or grocery bags. I can't understand why in America they used to have from supermarkets, you see in films, people carry out those brown grocery bags in their arms, but a lot of shops changed to plastic bags, which is quite bizarre. Any plain paper. I think that's it. Things that rot slowly are fallen tree leaves, tougher shrub trims, woody trims, wood shop, sawdust and shavings. Now, some people think they break down. They can actually go quite mushy and stick together. so that's not always a good idea unless you're sprinkling it over. Old carpet paddings, but make sure again they don't have any chemical treatments. And then I'll just go through some things that you should not use is ash if it's from coal, household pet litter or feces from pets, any nappies or diapers, and any magazines, leaflets or posters, particularly if they're glossy, but obviously because of the print. Also try and put tansy there because it helps draw the potassium out of the soil as it's growing. So that's a really good thing to have there as well. So this is my garden file. People ask me things quite a lot, and it's those same things like composting and all that. So I don't forget anything. I make my little file up. That's my YouTuber file that I make up for the questions I get asked quite a lot on YouTube. Okay, let's just go back to the puzzle piece of today, and then I'll come back with more tips for you. So today's puzzle piece is which country is chewing gum banned from? I thought that went rather nicely with our clean living theme today. So which country is chewing gum banned from? And it's actually against the law to possess it. So therefore you have to declare it or give it over when entering the country. So which country is that? See if you can get it before the end. A guess is good. Nothing bad here for a wrong answer. We have Stitching It Up, Capturing Country Life in with Two Doves, Bees and Gardens. So thank you for being here, Lisa. Nice to see you. We're talking about, I've just gone through all the terms such as frugal, thrifting, salvage, recycle, repurpose, all those words and the true definitions of those, and some tips on what you can use in compost. So now I'm going to give you some more tips. Something I do with paper. Any paper I don't use anymore. If I've finished writing on it, I write on both sides. I write on old envelopes. I write on the back of bills, receipts. If there's space to write, I will write on anything. So I write on both sides if possible. And then I shred my paper by hand. I've got like a guillotine, but it's where you slide the blade up and down. I haven't got a paper shredder. So I shred it by hand. I lay it down and slide this blade up and down, keep moving it along. And that doesn't take much at a time. And then it's in shreds, and then I put it in my raised beds or in my hugelkultur beds. So not only have I reused old cardboard or cereal packets or envelopes to write on, so that's one reuse. I then use the other side if it's letters or cards, something like that, and then I shred it and use it again. So it's 3 more uses of some of those things. Sarah says hi. Hi, Sarah. And we've had 2 guesses for the puzzle, which country is chewing gum banned. Stitching It Up's first guess is Australia. Now, it's funny you should say that. It's not Australia, but they're trying to do a massive campaign. They've showed footage of, particularly outside schools and play areas, the ground is covered in chewing gum. So you would think that, but not there. China. Ooh, you're very close. What's that other country we always pair China with? I'm watching a lot of videos from this other country at the moment, and maybe that's something I'll talk about another video. So you're so close. Come on, you're there. So that's paper. And then obviously you could put it just in your compost and use it as mulch, but the shredded paper I use in my raised beds or my hugelkultur beds. Tip for you, put something on top such as straw or something else, because if it gets windy you will have like a confetti garden of strips of paper. It's very pretty. I've had an animal dig in one of those beds and at the moment the paper's everywhere. So there's that. Obviously a tip is make your own compost. That would save you money as well. I'm going to show you on Friday on Tranquility Through Life's Natural Beauty channel, my live on Friday, next Friday. I've already done this Friday's live because I realised I wasn't going to be able to do it this Friday, so I did it yesterday. I went and changed the date. So it will be the 12th of September on Tranquility Through Life's Natural Beauty Live. I'm going to show you what I do with old birthday cards and Christmas cards. So that. Stitching It Up says, is it Japan where chewing gum is banned? Yes, it is. Applause to you, Alyssa. Yay! Go on Steve's channel and tell him you won the puzzle piece. So yes, make your own compost, grow your own vegetables. That goes without saying, but that's amazing how much money that saves. Eat and cook at home. Even if you're in this coffee culture, there's a lot of people, they just get into, I've done psychology. And one of the main things of psychology, whether it be advertising or shopping or anything like that, they want you to get yourself into a routine. So it might be going to a drive-through and buying your coffee every morning. Once you get into that, you'll find psychology-wise, it's actually very hard to break the habit. Like watching and liking and anything at all. They want you to build a habit. That's how marketing works. So don't eat out or get your coffee particularly, or some people will say every time we go to a restaurant, we then go out and get ice cream. Don't let these things become almost a financial burden. So eat at home, cook at home. Budget things. Mike likes to write a list of what he wants to buy at the supermarket, which is why I don't like shopping in the supermarket with him. I like to browse. I'm a browser. Mike is, something's missing in the cupboard or nearly empty, he will buy and replace it. So that is a good thing to have a list before you go shopping. Also, don't be conned by the things in your eye line. If you see things in your eye line, offer, they are deliberately put on that shelf. They're never going to be right down the bottom or right up high. The things they want you to buy are there. So it might be a new brand, or it might say it's on offer or for sale, but it is very likely more expensive than another brand. If you sell things to a supermarket, like food produce of any form, then you actually pay more for this shelf. Ooh, Stitch Out says 21 days to break a habit. Is it also 21 days, therefore, to get into a good habit, say exercise? Ooh, that's good. 21 days to break a habit. Try switching brands. Again, this is another thing. It's habit that you buy the same brand of something. Now, you may or may not know that a lot of brands are all the same, made in the same factory, and they just put different labels on different bottles, much like clothing. A lot of clothing is made by the same people in the sweatshop factories, and then the different brands get their labels sewn in them. So they're not made anymore, or mostly they're not better fabric or better made. So do be aware of things like that. So don't stick with what you've always had. If you're always putting mayonnaise on everything, ketchup is cheaper, you can make it easily at home, switch to that. So these are things. You have seen my pallet vertical growing wall that I grow herbs in. I never buy pots. I've never, ever, ever in Cyprus bought a pot for the garden. The only pots I've bought are 2 hanging ones that one of my viewers gave me a donation for, and that is what I bought out of it. But as you know, I go to the local tip and I go dumpster diving, and I always come back with stacks of flower pots, all shapes, all sizes. And that is because some people go to the garden centre, buy loads of plants, plant them out, and throw the flower pots away. So stitching up says longer for some of us. Oh, who was it commented today? I think it was my viewer Susan. Yes, my viewer Susan. She doesn't have a channel. And I had put up, I think it was a short that I did, and it's showing how I plan. I'm a great planner. I love to plan. Now, I'm not procrastinating. Some people make plans and procrastinate. No, I just don't have the oomph to carry things out anymore. But I showed all this planning I do, how you can really plan, effective planning. And she said, wow, you're so organised. I said, yeah, it doesn't mean I actually do what I plan. Oh dear. Yeah, I'm very good at, I love making charts. I love making charts and plans. And if any of you want me to plan something for you, oh, I'm great at, I'm talking about like planning what to do on a daily basis to reach your goal, or planning to revise for an exam, or planning how to learn a language in 6 months, that kind of thing. What else? Oh, when we've built it, yeah, so I say about our pallet wood herb garden. So pallets are free in just about every country. Go to your DIY store. They actually break them up and throw them away when the deliveries come. Go to your electrical stores where they have washing machines and freezers and all that. Go to, if you've got a dock or a port nearby you, anywhere things are imported, they have pallet wood. You can find them. Go online if that's something you do. I don't get anything online, but go online. People are probably giving them away on there. And you can make furniture out of pallet wood. You can make your raised beds. You can make growing walls. It's limitless, limitless. And if you look around our property, when you see what we built around the swimming pool, all the steps and all the different levels and all the walls, we didn't pay for any of that. That was all free around the area because, you know, we live in a mountain area. So to create roads and tracks, they literally used a machine to come through, and all those old stone, they're like stone bricks, but the stone we've just collected. It took us a long, long time to take the car, throw it all in the back, and then do a bit and then get some more. And then also you'll see we've got different patio areas, and round the swimming pool we've got marble in a couple of patio areas, and we got the what I call paving slabs, if you like, but crazy paving shaped slabs. All of those were free that we found dumped. Again, it takes time to go and collect them all, but that has all been done for nothing bar the cement, but we didn't even pay for all the cement. What else? This is a bane of Mike. He sees many DIY channels and they cut a bit of wood off and throw it away. Oh my goodness. It's a crime. You do not throw wood away. We even reuse nails. So we pull nails out and reuse nails. If there's things you really can't get or make, then do look in charity shops, or a lot of you use marketplaces and apps and that kind of thing. As I say, I don't use those, but if you really can't find something or figure out how to make it yourself, then if you do need to buy, go and see if you can get it. Obviously, there's a few things. I wouldn't actually say it's a good idea always to get electrical stuff secondhand. I don't think that's always worth the risk unless you know where it's come from. But that's something. Be creative with what you find. So again, there's many things we've done that Mike's made completely from different things, such as he's made his own solar panel. He's made his own solar panel. He's made his own hot water tank, a whole system that's on the utility block. So he's done a whole video of how he did that. So you don't even say, well, I want a solar panel, I've got to buy that. Not if you're creative, and there's many YouTube channels out there showing you how to do things and make things out of nothing. What else? If you do need to buy things, then make the money to buy the things. So either sell things you have got, donate things that people don't want, just so you feel good in yourself. But there's plenty of stuff. I've showed you videos how I sell my books, and nothing's online. I keep saying it, but a lot of you say, oh yeah, just sell it online. I don't sell online. So I sell books. I make money on the books, and then I get free books from that. I've been selling my clothing, again, not online. Been selling those and lots of other bits. So if you really do need to buy something, a good way of doing that is to obviously sell something to get something. This also helps with decluttering, clear out an area, and a lot of people who find they have too much stuff make it a rule that before something comes in, something has to go out. So there's that. If you want to learn something, whether it be you want to learn to dance, or you want to have someone telling you how to exercise, like you want to follow a course, you want to learn a language, you want to learn DIY, all these things you might go and pay for a course. That's what I love about YouTube. It's free, and don't pay for premium. Don't pay for premium. Now, if you want those to make money for you, then a lot of you make your own channel and slowly you can make a bit of money. But if you want to learn something, don't pay. There's so many people offering stuff for free, whether it be a language course or so on and so forth. I found a lovely one at the moment. It's a really good one. Obviously, he's saying between every bit of it, book a course with me, blah, blah, blah. That's fine. I'm not going to do that. But the course he does is my way of learning, my way of teaching and my way of learning. Maybe I'll share that another time with you. Make, do, and mend. So this is things you've already got that you're going to mend them or make yourself things that you need. All our cushions, pillowcases, bedding, rugs, things like that. Again, go onto YouTube and you can learn how to do these things. Macrame, you can make your own hammocks from macrame. You can make seats, hanging flower pots. Macrame's good. I've never sat down. I find it very hard to learn watching something now. Personally, I need someone to physically be doing it next to me, and not for them to do it and me copy. I can't copy anymore. I have to be instructed, do it, and they say no, that one there and then that one. I have to do it myself. I can't watch and do, if that makes any sense to you. Learn DIY. A lot of people say, oh, that'd be great, I could build things if I could do DIY. I've just told you there's plenty of YouTube channels that will teach you things. again, if you've got old clothes or bedding that's got a tear in it or something like that, make it into something else. So just be creative. What have you got? What do you need? And then try and pair those up. I've made curtains, duvet covers, all sorts. Look out for tips, videos on tips. I've done a great tip on one of my recipes, and I show you how I weigh butter with no mess, no sticky, no knives or anything else, no stickiness, no bowls, clean way. You know what I call butter, like the spreadable, the softer butter. What else? Even for children, they like to make things. They don't know what to make, so let them have a go at making things. A friend of mine, she had a teenage daughter, and she actually got her a sewing machine, and she would let her go and find at jumble sales or second-hand shops clothes, and then she'd let her play with the sewing machine to try and make them into something else. So she was learning, so that was a good way for that. So children can create their own games and make their own games. You don't need to buy whatever the trend is of the minute. And I'm sure a lot of you know either car boot sales, garage sales, auctions. There's plenty of places you can get these kind of things. Garden reuse, recycle, repurpose ideas that I've used. I've tried to write some down. I'm sure I can't remember all of them, but I wrote down some. I used the bottom of plastic milk bottles for seed growing, or you can use them upside down the top bit as a cloche. I use tops of water containers and bottles to make cloches. And then if you use a milk bottle, plastic milk bottle, then you can put a bamboo cane or a stake through, which will hold them on if it gets windy. Old teacups, you can use those as plant pot holders. And I've said before about my casserole dishes. Anything you can find, make great bases for flower pots, because then that stops wasting water running out at the bottom of your flower pots. And therefore, you don't need to water so often because it's holding moisture there. Collect the seeds. So if you do buy your own food, and say you buy peppers or something like that, collect the seeds and start growing those. So that's free seeds. And then things such as onions, as they grow, I've showed you a video how you can split them and make multiple onions from one onion growing. What else? Plant waste on compost, I've said. Make your own feeds for animals. We found 2 rabbit cages on legs, so they're high rabbit cages here when we came here, and I used them for growing, and also because they're meshy, it protects from pests. There are 2 old baths here that I grow in. And also because they haven't got holes in the bottom, I very rarely make holes in anything I want to grow in other than flower pots that already have holes in. I don't, because obviously then I need less water. But obviously the baths don't have holes in, so that is better for retaining water. You know, bricks you get where they have holes all the way through bricks. You get red bricks and grey bricks like that. Turn them up on their side, and I use mine to hold mops and brooms and your your garden tools. We grow our own bamboo. We use that for walking sticks, tool handles. We use it for roofing, to put under metal sheeting, and it gives a nice look. We use it as stakes. You can use it, make it into a screen for wind or just for beauty. I've used before an old base from an electric heater as a base for a sun umbrella. So it's the one that kind of looks like it's on a stand with a wide base. I've used an old coal frame which is where I store things on and use it for potting. Oh, something else I found here was some old bird cages. Now that's something you can hang up and put a plant in. The plant can trail through the holes, grow down like a hanging plant, but also birds can't get if there's anything there. That's good for strawberries. Stitching it up says you're very resourceful. It's a case of having to be. It's amazing how creative you can become when you have nothing. Very creative. We have here, they were already here, 2 metal arches that you would have seen on our patio where we grow things over them. But when you look at them, they're actually just rebar. So if you find old lengths of rebar, you can actually make them into growing arches, or you can tack them onto fences and grow vertically up there. Vertical growing is something I really endorse because obviously a lot of people have very small gardens or no garden at all. Any old buckets we have, whether they be they've had paint in before, all sorts of things, I use them for not only for watering, but I use them for if I'm just doing a little bit of weeding, say it's a few pots, I'll carry that around with me, put the weeds in, carry it along, save getting a big wheelbarrow out, or if you've got a small area. We store our wood in roof water tanks. So our ones are the old-fashioned metal big squares. That's our type of water tank on our roof. And we've got old ones and we turn them on the side and it makes a great cover for wood in the winter. What else? There's old sinks. You can grow in sinks. You can grow in anything. An old wheelbarrow, anything you can find. You can get old furniture and grow in it, such as in old drawers or an old bookshelf laid on its back. But in time, that will obviously slowly decay. Old crates, the old-fashioned milk bottle crates that milkmen used to use. You might find them in your supermarket or people dump them. They're good not only for storing all your pots and things tidily or sorting out your different components for things used in your garden, but I actually put little pots in them and it's easier to say that crate is broccoli seeds, that crate is whatever else. Oh, stitching it up says I want to do more but no one helps me. Bless you, I do the garden on my own. You want to do Workaway. I keep talking about Workaway volunteers. They come in all countries for as long or as short that you want your help. Pet food bags. This is something I do a lot. I grow in pet food bags. So that's ideal. If you've got any plastic bags at all, again, it retains the water a lot better. I do think the pet food bags, though they retain the water, I don't put holes in them. Although they retain the water, I still think the pet food has got some vitamins in it. So I used to turn them inside out, but then I read all the ingredients and it's safe for humans. So I thought, well, hold on, leave them the correct way with the print on the outside. And I'm sure there's some element of traces of the vitamins or whatever that was in the food, the little dust particles. I really think that helps because things grow so much better in there. And I also grow in the great big water bottles that you see in offices and that upside down, the big water bottles. So I just cut, not completely around it, but almost. Then it's like a lid. And that is the best way to germinate things in the winter. Labelling. How I label. I've tried many different things. I paint stones and I put the name of the thing on the stones. But the way I use mostly is, fly swatters like these sort of ones here. Well, eventually they break here because they're plastic. So the summer in Cyprus is too hot. They melt and they break off. So this bit here is ideal from here to stick in the ground or in your pot. and you write here with a permanent marker what you've grown. That's a great labelling system. I've not seen anyone else do that, but that's what I mostly use. And if you're lazy, just use a different colour one for different things. So green for brassicas, orange for carrots, just while you're getting round to writing on them. You can bury old dustbins or just use them as they are, so you can use that. Old laundry baskets. Now, if they're the ones with lots of holes round, then obviously you want to put a dustbin bag or something like that, refuse bag in there. You can plant in there. You can use literally anything you can find, literally anything. I can't cover everything. I was trying to think of as many things as I could think of. Other things that I do, I collect pine cones, which we've got many pine trees in our garden and all around us. The pine cones is what we use for the fire, along with wood from our trees. We have never bought wood for the winter. We've never bought anything to burn. The only thing we do buy is matches. I know you could do it with flint. I'm not that low. So pine cones is very good for our fire. What else? There's just other things I've used and done. There's so many here to go through, and different things I've made and done. But yeah, there's so much there. But I did say I was going to talk about the EU and plastic. I did talk about it when it first happened here. Now, if you're in the EU, some of your countries have not done it yet, and that means because it had to be done, I'll tell you the date when I get to it. July 2021, all of Europe had to be no plastic. There's a substance that looks like plastic but isn't plastic. So any EU countries out there that isn't doing it, what I'm going to read, then that means your country is paying a fine until they do it. This is EU countries, because although Cyprus isn't in Europe, the land of Europe, we are part of the EU. And I did a video when this first came out. And it said the EU directive has set the bans of the EU 2019/904. Everyone should have been transposed into law by July 2021. This is the EU. And the rule was, the law, its actual law, single-use plastic products banned from the 1st of August of that year. Plastic bags totally scrapped, so scrapped entirely from February the 18th, 2023. And single-use chopsticks, food and drink containers made of expanded polystyrene foam, no more wet wipes, pads, sanitary towels, tampons, tobacco products with filters containing plastic. As I said, if you see anything in Cyprus, it's this new thing they made. It's illegal in Cyprus for anyone to bring any plastic products imported or over from the north. MPs have previously approved an amendment for a 3-month extension. This is back then, I'm reading from the implementation date of April the 30th to September the 30th. And this was back then, the date I'm reading about, to allow for all current stock must then be sold, provided their orders were placed before July the 3rd, 2021, when all EU member states would have had to adopted the directive into their law. So it's not just something they're passing. And then, as I said, there's different plastic classifications, and you'll see different symbols on your plastic. There's one looks like a triangle, a broken triangle, but it's slightly rounded, so 3 lines. That's SPI code, Society of Plastic Industry. There is 7 in total. The first type of plastic is polyethylene terephthalate. phthalate, which is PET or PETE, and this is normally your drink bottles, your plastic jars, and food product containers. The second type is high density polyethylene, which is HDPE. This is safe containers able to withstand heat or cold, and also is things like milk containers, detergents, bath and beauty containers. The third type is polyvinyl chloride, which is PVC, we know that as. This is a problem because it's rarely recycled and is used in plumbing pipes. Number 4 is low density, which is LDPE, and this contains things such as food storage containers, durable and flexible, cling film, food wrap or glad wrap, I think Americans call it, Ziploc bags, ketchup, mayonnaise type bottles. Type 5 is polypropylene, which is PP. This is things such as syrup bottles, disposable nappies or diapers, tablet or pill bottles and containers, and plastic straws. These can be reused now to make rakes, car ice scrapers, and takeaway cups. Type 6 is what we commonly know as styrofoam. These cannot ever be recycled efficiently. So if you see they're recyclable, they're something that would take like hundreds of years to really break down. So these are your coffee takeaway cups, plastic cutlery, packing bubbles. You know, when you order something that's got all those, everyone likes to pop the bubbles. That is totally banned. We can't import anything that's got that. These are very harmful to the environment, and they make up 35% of all landfill items. And then type 7 is any miscellaneous plastic, such as DVDs, babies' bottles, storage containers, first aid boxes, that type of thing. And they have quality logo products, which is QLP, and this is plastic. You can find out what they can then be made into. So the law in all EU countries, but as I said, if your country hasn't done any of this, then you will find that your country is actually paying a fine. As I say, Cyprus, I read the bit that Cyprus asked for an extension to get all into place, because obviously we're a tiny island and we've got lots of things imported, so they had to find new people that could send us the stuff that didn't have the bubble packaging and so on and so forth. But we still had to pay something rather than the fine. We still had to pay because we hadn't changed over straight away. So here they totally stopped plastic shopping bags. They stopped not only plastic wrapping in postage, but excessive wrapping of any kind. There is now a different form of plastic, or different forms of plastic. In the unboxing I did the other week, the video, I said to you on camera, it looks like plastic. It is not. And they've changed the plastic of many things, such as the little plastic lining sanitary towels, tampons, diapers, party plates, cutlery now. If you go anywhere where they have plastic cutlery, it's now wooden. Balloons, you know, birthday balloons, plastic beakers, plastics in toys, ice cream tubs, when you used to get ice cream in plastic tubs, plastic trays, freezer products, chewing gum, because chewing gum is mastic. Mastic is plastic. Chewing gum is plastic. Plastic mastic. Yes, interesting. It is. Any plastic or protective stationery sheets, pens, is how many things you can think of that are made of forms of plastic. CD type cases. So if you get DVDs or anything like that, the plastic cases. Now here's one some of you might not think of, but you use it every day. Your phones and your laptops. They had to change all types, which is, I don't know if you, I think you might have seen my phone or my laptop. They either import them from countries that aren't using that form of old plastic, or you'll see a lot of things now are branded made in Cyprus. So the brand of my laptop is a Cyprus company. Alyssa says, I'm glad I caught your live. I usually miss lives on this channel. See, they're interesting. Sometimes they're fun, dead fun. Sometimes they're dead interesting. Fans, as in when it's hot and you put an electric fan on. Your glasses. Hearing aids. Your coating of tablets. I'm talking about medication tablets. Now, I did tell a funny story the other day for my lupus. I have kidney problems and digestive problems and other things. And the digestive side of it and the kidney side of it, you're told never to have medication that's in a plastic capsule. And I went to get my next lupus medication, and it's all in plastic capsules. And they're massive as well. They're not like a small tablet. They're really big. And Mike said, oh, throw them away. You can't use those ones. I'll go and find out if you can just have the plain tablets. Somehow we got the capsule ones. And he said, throw away. I said, I'm not doing that. So every time I have them, I get a vegetable knife, I pierce it, and I snip round it, and I empty it onto a spoon, and I have it like that. It's horrible. I put a little bit of hot chili sauce or something with it because you're eating the powder. But yeah, so how much plastic are you having with medication? And a lot of foods have plastic in. I'm sure you know that. If you're particularly from England or America, you have so much plastic within your food. It's quite disgusting when you think about it. Working parts on things such as fire extinguishers, buckets, parts on tools, fly swatters, plastic things such as in the summer you might have a plastic tablecloth outside. So anything you wipe down, any wipe down plasticky things. Hey, Della's in. Della Smalley. Good morning, Dawn. Things are not bad. It seems like we're not supposed to drink water anymore. I just bought 2 big packs of the water bottles. Oh, you have a good day and stay safe. Oh, poor you. Oh. So when you do plastic gloves, you know, if you're doing a dirty job or medical stuff, you've got the plastic gloves, and in hospitals they have the plastic disposable aprons. UV safety wear. Remember I said PVC, so anything made of PVC. I used to love the smell of my PVC Mac when I was little. It was called Pack-A-Mac, and some people had Kagools, which were different, but Pack-A-Mac, and it used to roll up into a tiny ball. I used to love the smell of that. Oh, Alyssa says, smash the thumbs up for Dawn. Thank you, Alyssa. Paint tubs, where you buy your painting, pet food bags, compost bags, blinds, you know, blinds, Venetian blinds, I think they're called. Beauty and hair items, all the plastic of all your little mascaras and lipstick containers, and people keep buying shampoos and that kind of thing. What else? Stickers and labels. Plastic money, because they're changing some countries. Tell me if your country has it yet. The money is now plasticky, like the notes. They're now plasticky. Your IDs and passports, plasticky. Pipes. I could go on and on. Tell me anything you think I've missed out of, like, that we use every day. There's so many things. And when you start to see it like that, all your water bottles, when you start to think of it like that, No wonder the environment is in such a bad state, do you not think? So, as I say, Cyprus, definitely, all that's gone. Anything you see now, a lot of it now is Cyprus's own products. It was cheaper for us to make our own stuff than carry on importing. So a lot of it that looks plastic is not. And as I say, look on the bottom for those codes or those letters I've told you, so you know which one it is. So Cyprus has no plastic at all. If they look like plastic, they're not. They're this new component, which I haven't got a name of. I need to figure out what that name is. All the EU should have changed, but I know for sure quite a lot of countries have not. The best way to tell is go somewhere where you get takeaway cutlery, because that would now be wooden rather than plastic. So if you see that's the plastic ones, you know that country's not changed. That's the easiest way to see for sure. So see for sure. Stephen Tina, I'm just off, Steve. I've just finished. And guess what, Steve? Alyssa got the answer right for the puzzle piece today. Yay! Well done, Alyssa. Alyssa got the puzzle piece right today. So well done, Alyssa. Well, that was a ton spoken of today. Tell me in the comments below, if you're watching this back later, what you thought was the most interesting thing I said. Did you know everything I said you could compost? What tip did you like best today? What garden or frugal idea did you like today? Tell me your frugal stories, or how you make money, or if you're off grid, tell me about that. I love to hear from you all. I love to hear. So always with your comments, do it like sending me a letter. Tell me all about it. I really love reading what you're all doing and what's going on where you are. I'm then finished for now. I need to go and water my garden. Only the hoogles I do at night. I do the rest in the morning. It's 6:39 p.m. here. So I'm going to go out and do that. And then I'm going to have my blueberries. And that will be me done for today. Lisa says, I think America is the unhealthiest. I think it's on a par with England, but because you're a bigger country, I think you see it more. You see it more. Oh, Steve says Holiday Monday. Oh, yes. Holiday Monday. Go watch Steve's video where he went walking. I think it's his latest one. He went walking and he just bought the bear spray. Did he use the bear spray? I'm not telling. Go watch Steve's video. Oh, I thought it was Tuesday. Bless you. No, he did get correct on the first guess. No, but there's a lot of countries out there to have guessed from. Okay, I really am out of here. Just as you all come in, I'm going. But I need to go water. It's cooled down a bit, so I shall go. Okay, love you and leave you. As I say, thank you so much for being here. Drop your comments. Tell me all. Answer all the questions I've asked. And I will see you. What is it then? You confuse me now. It's Wednesday. So I won't see you on Friday on my other channel live because I did it yesterday instead. So I will be back here on Monday and hope you can join me then. Thanks for being here, guys. Much appreciated, and Meraki.